So you want to open an antique booth. I'm going to give you 3 ways today in order to help you get your chances up to get into that booth. But first, I'm going to need you to follow my channel because your girl is trying to grow, and you're going to want to stay tuned for the more tips I have for once you get into this booth. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to tell you something that may seem a little bit out of the box, but you need to start your social media accounts now. You need to at least have a Facebook page. That's, I feel like, the easiest social media platform to start on. And you need to think of a name for your booth for when you get into the mall, because you're going to get into the mall with this tips. And basically start a relationship with people, like people that you know in real life. Say, hey, I want to start a booth and this is my page. Could you please go follow? And it'll grow from there. Make sure you're posting hauls, what you're getting. Obviously, you can't go crazy overboard because you might not have a place to store that. But this is going to come in to tip number 2. So tip number 2 sounds a little crazy, but right now, I want you to call every antique mall in your area that is a good fit for you. Now, you may say, how do I know if it's a good fit for me? So you're going to basically go in and you're going to tour these antique malls and booths. You're going to see, are they like, what do they look like? One thing that I did was I flat out asked, what is your turnover rate for people that rent a booth? And that's a key question, because if their turnover rate's super fast, that tells me one thing. Either A, their vendors are not doing well, or B, there is, which follows right into that, there's not enough foot traffic. And that could really hurt you. Plus, you want to make sure that the people that are running your antique mall, are doing a good job of that. Their job, once you get in there, will not be to advertise you. That's why we go back into 1. You need to make sure you're growing your social media so you can advertise yourself. But once you go into these malls, you're going to ask them 2 questions. Do they have space for rent? If they don't have a space for rent, you're going to ask question number 2. You're going to say, do you have any vendor events coming up? We're in a different time. I think since COVID, people have wanted to get out and they want to be able to do events. Like, people are more, we sat at home for such a long time. That feels like just yesterday, that people just do not want to sit at home anymore. So vendor events have been really key for a lot of antique malls around me. A lot of them have been doing that. Now, if they say yes, they are having a vendor event, you need to say yes. You need to say yes right then and there. And here's why. I'm going to insert a picture here. That is my booth when I first got into my antique mall. And this was the key to how I got in. I had my booth set up just like I would if it was a store. I literally worked my butt off to make that booth look like a store and look as presentable as possible. And you want to know what happened? The owners came out and shopped and they said, hey, we're going to have a booth space available. Do you want it? And I got the booth that night. And the reason why I think a lot of that was because A, there was availability, but B, because I actually set that up as a store and they knew going in that they were not going to need to train me. And you may think, but what do you mean by training? I mean training because you can't just get a booth and throw some crap in it and expect it to sell. You need to be running your booth like a store and have it all set up just like a store to make sure that your customers are going to find you. Back to, you want to have social media so you can funnel them in. It's not going to be your mall's business to just find your little booth and funnel everybody in. So those are my key components on how you are going to successfully get a booth. And I feel like that's something that nobody said. Nobody told me the importance of starting a social media before I even got that booth. To definitely call around and find the best booth fit for you. And ask the questions. As a business owner, which if you start a booth, you are a business owner, you should be asking those questions. And number 3, the key, most important tip is to ask about the vendor events. And if you can't get into a vendor event with an antique mall and that's not something they do, call other like local vendor events and say, hey, I have a vintage vibe. Can I set up at a market? And more than likely, they're going to say yes, because that is super trendy right now. So if you like this video, make sure you follow along, because I will give you more tips and tricks on what it's like to own a booth, how you get started, and all the questions that I searched for and couldn't find. Follow along, and I'll talk to you soon.